How's it going, everybody? I just wanted to talk about what I found to be the best cooler setup for me. I'm going to show you what I was using and how I got to where I am now. Because with the old system, I was going to buy a casting platform for the front, and I got to look, and they're $400, $500, $600. I really wasn't happy with the old cooler setup, and I said I need something that I can use for a casting platform, a cooler, hold net, rods, knife, pliers, whatever. And I'm going to show you what I came up with. So here's the original. It's a cheap Igloo. You get them at Walmart. It serves its purpose, but the first time I used it, it used to face to the front, but it's got really cheap plastic hinge or latches on it. And I was going down the highway and the freaking lid blew open. I was like, well, that ain't worth nothing. So I had to use it facing backwards all the time. And under this seat cushion is my front live well. Here's a storage area, and I keep a lot of the Plano boxes with a bunch of tackle in there. So you can see that there's no room to get in there when you got the cooler in the boat. And I was like, we got to fix this. So I went to Walmart and I found this thing. A Lifetime 115 quart, about half the price of a Yeti. I don't care if it holds ice 4 days or 8 days or 10 days, because it only needs to hold ice for 1 day. But I'll show you a little later on. I put ice in it yesterday morning, and this cooler has been in the sun for the last 2 days, and it's still got plenty of ice in it. So I'm gonna go over how I installed some of the stuff, and I'm gonna install a couple more rod holders, because when I was fishing yesterday, that rod holder, and there's one just like it on the other side, they're handy when you're sitting on the front of it and you just need to put the rod down if you got to retie or something like that. But when you come down and you get the fish down in this area of the boat, it's a whole lot easier if I had one up in the front. So I'm going to put two in the front, and I can keep my net on the left side. I'm right-handed. I typically fish everything on the right side of the boat. I'm also going to mount this Dexter 7-inch fillet knife to the cooler, and when I find a set of pliers, I'm going to mount those on the front, because I'm sick and tired of having to look around, where's my knife, where's my pliers, or having to walk to the back of the boat to the tackle bag to get it. So I'm going to walk through and show you how I got all of this stuff. If you saw some of my other videos, I catch a big fish and I'm digging in the side storage box and looking for the big ruler, which is now mounted up on the top, and I'll go over that too. All right, so I bought this Igloo tie-down stainless kit because I fish saltwater. I don't want stuff rusting all up on the boat. And it's made for an Igloo cooler, and it's made so that this hook grabs onto a spot in the top of the cooler. And they had this part, they had you screwing it to the deck. Now, when I attach something, I don't like using screws, because like yesterday when I was out fishing, I was in 2 to 3 foot seas and everything's bouncing around. Screws can and will pull out. So I like through bolting, putting big fender washers on the back side. So I said, well, I'll use that for the cooler connection. And I went and installed some 1/4-20 stainless steel rings, and I use these stainless toggle bolts. Don't be cheap. Don't buy the regular metal ones, because they will rust out and fail. So they're real simple. Use a 1/2-inch drill bit. You pre-drill it. You drop it through. You wiggle it around. You slide this down, and it locks in place just like so. Now, the way I position this is I made sure that I had enough room on the base so I could still use the drain without unbolting and unhooking everything. Because I'm also going to show you I put a secondary safety just in case it vibrated loose going down the highway at 75. I still don't want this whole setup flying out of the back of the boat. So I figured out how far out it needed to be to clear it, and then I put the hardware in place, and then I marked the holes, and then I drill it, and then I measured how far the drill bit went in to figure out what size screws I need. These are 3/16, and they've got 1-inch fender washers and nylock nuts on the inside. And I put this little fender washer on the bottom just so it looks like a really clean installation. So all you do, once you get the toggle in, you lock this down. Nice and tight. And then you pull this ring up, you come through, close it, push it down, put it in, and then you lock it. Keep this backed off. You want it really tight. And luckily this cooler has rubber feet on it, so when I tighten this down, it is not going to go anywhere, right? But I'm still going to install this cord just in case this vibrates loose, and it's real simple. This is my little Lowe's little push button propane torch, because when you cut this stuff, if you don't sear the end, it's going to fray on you. So you run it through. Eventually it's going to come out the other side. And you come down to the bottom, come through that stainless eye bolt, you just do a couple of half hitches. Pull it good and tight. Now, I got this particular cord at Walmart because it's like 550 cord, but it's twice as high. It's like 1100. So I leave myself a little bit of extra, snip it off, come back through. I want to really keep this so it looks really good and keep it parallel. I'm going to snug this down. I'm going to do another half hitch. And I'm going to cut it to the final length. I'm going to hold it with my pliers so I don't burn my fingers off. I'm just going to melt this end. And if you don't do this, it's going to fray and come apart on you. That's all there is to it. So now it's not going anywhere. This has it locked down. If this were to vibrate loose, it's still not coming out of the boat. Plus it's an additional contact point for hold down. Now let's get to the front of the thing. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is knock out these rod holders so they go quick. What I do is I space them off the bottom with a piece of 2x4, and it works just like your kick plates in your kitchen, so you don't stub your toes when you're getting up close to it. I'm going to put these on the outside because the knife's going to go right about here, and then either here or here will be a pair of pliers when I find a set that I like. Cheap screws. That's all there is to it. Next side. Same thing. Put the spacer block. Fortunately, stainless ain't the best when it comes to magnetic. That fast. Get rid of the block. Now we're gonna do the knife, and so this thing comes with a belt loop, but then you got to remember to put it in the boat, or you got to remember where you put it in the boat. So you take the knife out just in case something happens, and you just rip it off. Exactly what I did. And you see these rivets. And I'm just going to push these rivets back. I'm going to take a pair of side cutters. And I'm going to push these little buggers out. Don't need those. So they already got a mounting spot on the bottom right here, and it's got some drains, but because it's going to be up against the cooler, I want to make sure that it drains, because the knife's pretty much going to live on the cooler. So I'm just going to drill a hole on the front side, make sure it drains right here. Now we got a drain hole out of the front. So when I mount this, I don't want it up above the lid. I want it down, but you got to watch because this surface rolls over. So I'm going to mount it right about here. Now before I do this, I want to put a screw in the top, and the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to take that same drill bit. I'm going to drill straight through. And it lined up with that hole. It doesn't matter if it does or not, but you want the hole closer to the cooler. You want it in line with this hole. Now we're going to change bits. We're going to put a bit in there that's as big as the head of the screw. So it's going to work just like this. And you're only going to drill the outside. Then we'll just clean that up. Use a knife to clean it up really nice. Put a little bevel on it. Now, I'm going to put the bottom screw in first, so I know where the top is. So I want the handle straight up and down. I don't care about the case. So I need it right there. And pop the knife out. Get a little piece of plastic out of the way. Now, you got a fillet knife, it's always within reach. Like I said, when I find a pair of stainless pliers that can live on the front of the cooler, so when you're doing everything at the front of the boat, you want everything handy at the front of the boat, and you don't need to worry about whether I forgot it at home or not. And then if you see, this is one of those Mustad rulers. I think it was 40 inches. And I didn't want it sticking way off to the right side, so I cut it off at the 36-inch mark, took a file to it, rounded the corners. I don't want to get cut or anything like that. And now I can put a net on the left, I can put it on the outside. If I get a big fish down here and I'm working with it, I can just set my rod right here or right there, and just simplifies everything. Now, the good thing about this cooler, the top is really stiff, so I can stand on it and it doesn't sag, and it's wide enough where two people can sit on the front and fish either side of the boat without bumping into each other. So I hope you like this video.